Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting episode of Attacker Productions. Today I bankrupt once again by Nick and Fluff.
Howdy, howdy.
What's going on, beautiful people?
And today we are going over what will probably be the last of the reveals, is the promos. It's both days of promos, and I kind of sprinkled in the extra winter cards just so we go over the art if we wanted to. But like always, just buttons down below. Feel free to click up to there for a reason and let us know in the comments how you're doing today. But we're going to get into the first promo, and we're going to go in order they were kind of revealed, this being Gamma 1, Power Unleashed. By specifying this card, I assume we're going to get a Gamma 2, hopefully maybe next set or something. But it is a unique. When this card is played from hand, you draw one card. Activate main, limit 1 for a blue energy. If your leader card is blue Android card, and you play this card from your energy, which benefits both Gamma decks and Android 16 decks. Activate main once per turn. If no player has a leader with its front side facing up, and your opponent has 3 or more energy, this card gets plus 16,000 power and crit until the start of your next main phase. I think that's really good for like just a late game push if you need to get that one extra attack in. But overall, I think it's a pretty good card for promos, and I like the way promos are going as well.
Yeah, as someone playing Gamma, like I like this card a lot. It's not enough to be like considered oppressive to where like you absolutely need it for the deck, but like you were saying, it does provide that good amount of pressure for the late game, and just having a good charge target on your first 2 turns is really nice. So I like the card a lot. I think it's simple enough to where it's good.
Well, and the first and second autos are not contingent on what leader you're running. So there's a lot of times in blue that you just want to spend 1 energy. So, you can get the draw. If you're both awakened, you can go ahead and get that plus 16,000 in crit. So, like, this will slot in well in any deck that's not just Android-based decks. Just because you can't play it from the energy doesn't mean you can't just play this guy for 1 energy. Most of the time, people aren't going to waste a big counterplay card trying to get rid of this guy. So there's a possibility that you're going to get through with a 20k crit on him. So I like this card just as a general blue card.
And it's really nice that it keeps the power until the end of your opponent's turn, so it has a little bit of defense on it, so your opponent has to spend that much more to get rid of it.
Going over the next card, for promos, we got Bubbles Hide and Seeker. I think this is hilarious. This is actually, if I'm correct, the only promo that benefits the next set. All the other ones are kind of text that you can use if you wanted to, but they mainly benefit older archetypes. This one, like I said, benefits a Halo coup, another coup, whatever you want to call it. I'm calling it what I call it. But activate main, limit 1. If your leader card is blue, another world Budokai card, and you discard this card from your hand, look up to 5 cards top of your deck, add up to 1 blue Another World Budokai card with energy cost of 3 or less and 1 of them to your hand, then shuffle your deck. Activate main for 1 blue energy. You send this card from your drop to your warp. You place 1 Angel Halo from your deck into your drop, then shuffle your deck afterwards. It really benefits the new Halo coup coming out. And outside that, it's just a good searcher for both Pycon or Goku.
I really like that it's another way to move the Angel's Halo from the deck to the drop to just kind of get them out of your way first and foremost amongst anything else. Like the search effect to me is just a plus, but having the ability to move Angel's Halo out of the deck and kind of get yourself access to them to kind of fuel your engine is really nice.
Almost like, it's like King Kai, North Kai is really great for that. But the downside compared to North Kai, this one's at turn 1, you search and immediately pay 1. If you don't have a King Kai in your hand, you just, boom, get an Angel Halo out of the way, which is fantastic.
Yeah. It gives you another solid turn 1 in Halo coup.
I like Monkey. Never played the deck, so I can't say much about it.
You played against it, though.
Yeah, I slept against it.
The next card we're going over is universally, I think, just a good card for any blue deck, and that's Grand Kai, Intentional Draw. Auto for 1 blue energy. If your leader card is mono blue and you discard this card from your hand, when one of your battle cards is KO'd by an opponent's attack, choose to one of the attacking battle cards and place it on top of its owner's deck. Now this, I assume this takes place after the battle calculation, so like dual attacks and stuff like that have already restood at that point. But just in general, like if your opponent's trying to clear your board, you have a response to go, stop that.
This is actually a really nice piece of tech. I think the only thing that I could wish for is maybe that this included some type of barrier removal. I get why it didn't for balancing reasons, but this is just going to generally be a nice piece for blue decks.
But I think it's going to be
Well,
probably a sideboard, probably at
yeah,
best. A lot of decks have straight removal from skills, so attacking with battle you don't see too often, except for like the slower games. So I think that's when this card would probably come in. But
yeah.
cool, it's neat.
Going over the next card, a lot of people don't typically play this style, but if you wanted to go back to a mono red version, we have Launch, Personality Swift. It's a 1-drop barrier, auto limit 1. If your leader card is red launch card and all of your energy is mono red, when you play a battle card from your life, and up to one of your leaders gets plus 5,000 power for turn. That's good and that's bad because there's a lot of combo cards for the launch deck that require your leader to be a certain power to do certain effects. So just knowing when to do certain things is beneficial. Actually, you would combo that card off first, flip the life over, then play the card. So never mind, you're still good. Activate main once per turn. If your leader card is red launch, add up to one card from your life to your hand, then place one card from your hand to your life. So it helps you cycle out those cards for you. That way you can see the cards you want to play if you're trying to go back to a mono launch variant, which I did enjoy. I know it's not the optimal build, but
I've kind of gotten into launch here over the last week or so, and I really love the deck. And I'm just honestly going to give my honest opinion about this card. I don't know that this card does enough for the deck. Like, it does kind of let you, if you know you've got something in your life that you really need to have there, or if there's something in your life that you want to have in your hand and you don't want to wait for your opponent to attack you to get it, this is a great way to kind of swap out while also maintaining knowledge. Like, I know some builds have been running kind of odd red cards because they just do something when they're comboed. So it's a possibility that this card may replace those cards. Just time
Yeah,
will kind of have to tell.
yeah, I see this as more of a consistency piece. I don't see many people running that auto because, like Bancroft was saying, it's pretty unusual for people to play mono red with launch. It's usually some type of multicolor. Um, but fixing the life is pretty nice. Especially if you do run the life flip strategy, you know what you're going to be picking up, but you can almost treat it as like a second hand.
I know I was talking to Fluff earlier about this one as well. The active main will actually work really well if you were to add, because you've been testing it, if you were to add eye for an eye into your deck. If you don't
Yeah.
see it, if you see it in your hand, you activate the main, put it in your life. That way it's there for future use.
Yeah, I do plan on testing Eye for an Eye, so it might be nice to test her out as like a 2 of or something in the deck.
Going over to the next card, it's just a good red card overall. Ss2 Sun Gohan, Hyperspeed Rush. It's a double strike card. When this card's played, you draw one card. Activate main, limit 1 for 1 red energy. If your leader card is mono red Saiyan and you have 3 or more energy, you can play this card from your hand, make it initially just a 1-drop, which is fantastic. Activate main once per turn for 1 red energy. This card gets plus 5,000 power for the turn and choose it to one of your opponent's battle cards, and it gets minus 20,000 power for the turn. This works really well for the old Goten deck, but overall, like I said, it's just a good red Saiyan deck, which will probably get some form of use in the new Gogeta deck, possibly being just a 15k double strike for 1 energy. It draws you a card.
No, I see this being used in Pan.
Or
I
Pan.
think
Oh,
Pan.
yeah, Pan. Yeah.
I think Pan could absolutely abuse this card. For 2 energy, you're drawing 2 cards, and you have a double striker that can pop any battle card.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to be fucking wild in Pan.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely see this as a tech choice for Pan more than anything else. The card itself isn't bad. It's kind of odd to pay 2 energy in red sometimes, so that might get kind of weird. But other than that, I do really like the whole design on this card.
But if the card sticks for another turn, you just have an
If
energy
it
sink to go into.
if it sinks, yeah.
Going to the next card, we got ourselves an Ss2 Sun Gohan, Entrusted Will. This is really perfect for the old Ss2 Gohan childhood leader that was set, I want to say 13 or 14. But activate main, limit 1 for 1 blue, 1 whatever. If your leader card is blue Sun Gohan childhood card, you may play 1 skillless battle card with energy cost of 2 from your energy. If you do, you play this card from your hand and add the top card of your deck to your energy. Activate main for limit 1. Return one of your skillless battle cards with energy cost of 2 to its owner's hand. Choose it to one of your opponent's battle cards with energy cost greater than or equal to their current energy. Place it at the bottom of their deck. Place it at the bottom of their owner's deck. Holy crap! What makes it so good is that For 2 energy, you're initially playing 2 battle cards. You swing the skill list first, then you can activate main to put the skill list back to your hand. Swing with the leader, reset your energy gap. That way it's back in there. So in your next turn, you can charge again the 1-drops that make you play the skill list again. It's a really good cycle.
One of the problems that I have with the blue Sun Gohan childhood deck is there's just odd points between turn 2 and turn 3 where there's times where you don't have anything to do to sink your energy in, depending on the quality of cards in your hand. And I think having a card like this that's just going to generate more pressure for 2 energy and then also get rid of a threat on the field as long as it persists from that point forward in the game is actually really strong. And I think this card is probably a little stronger than it actually appears to be on the outside.
Yeah, when I was doing initial testing of the blue Gohan archetype, the removal piece was nice because it was one of the newer blue decks that came out at the time that had like straight removal. But it was so awkward playing it because you had the Gohan that was a blocker that did it, and you had the Trunks, and it always felt weird with ratios and stuff. But I think this card is balanced enough where it can see more play with the archetype and do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Going over our next card, I'm assuming people are going to be questioning this one, but it's only meant for one deck. Ss2 Sun Goku Xeno Reflective Strike. Overwhelm 3 if you want to do Overwhelm, but it is a counter, much like the Cooler. If your leader card is black, Supreme Kai of Time card, negate the counter skill and play this card. So right there's a big difference between this and the Cooler. This is only really meant for Supreme Kai. But anyone who's playing Supreme Kai is definitely going to be playing this card, just like any Yell deck would be playing Cooler. Activate main limit 1. If your leader card is black, Supreme Kai of Time, and you discard this card from your hand, look up to 5 cards off your deck, add up to 1 black Son Goku Xeno or black Vegeta Xeno card among them, and add them to your hand. Dish off your deck afterwards. Activate main, send this card to Zone Warp, draw 2 cards, and then send up to 1 card from your hand to the Warp. So right here we have 2 different options you go to. Either you use it as a searcher, or you do the counter. Then if it survives, goes back on your turn, you can do the activate main to draw 2 and then put 1 in your Warp.
I will say that as someone who's experimented with the Supreme Kai of Time deck, I will say that 3 black energy is incredibly expensive for that deck.
This card's on crack.
The card is really good. I'm not saying that it's not, but it's expensive for the deck that it's going to be in. So I'll be interested to see if this deck is enough, if this card is enough to push that archetype a step further to kind of be meta contentive.
Well, if you think about it this way, it's just another free piece for your Gogeta Xeno engine. Like,
Yeah.
it's another 5K Goku Xeno, so you have more options to run it that way. And even still, like you're able to search off of it, so you don't have to necessarily use it as the counter intended.
Correct.
You can just search off of it and even overwhelm to get your wormhole.
I know that the really explosive versions of the Supreme Kai deck are running a bunch of the 6-drop 30k overwhelms. So this is a great way to search those out. The activate main, once you've played this guy, to draw 2, send 1 card from hand to the Warp is incredibly strong. Like, I'm not saying this card is bad. I just think that the counter skill on it is incredibly expensive.
Yeah, but if you're going for game, I'll pay 3 energy to win.
Oh, if you're going for game, absolutely. But you've got your overwhelms already set up on the field that were able to stick around because of the secret rare. You've got pressure on the field. You're not having to commit energy into further overwhelms for that turn. Like, just someone who's played the deck, 3 energy is supremely expensive.
Going to the next card. It's good to get support for older decks, and this is one as well. Vegeta Elite Arrogance, if you're familiar with
Ew.
What?
Tax Cheetah.
And that's what it's for. Unique. Honor once per turn. If your leader card is green Vegeta card, and you play a green battle card with blocker, or activate a green field with an energy cost of 1, draw 1 card. Activate main once per turn for 1 green energy. If your leader card is green, you have a field card, a field extra in your battle area, add up to 1 green Great Ape card with energy cost of 4 or less, and blocker from your drop to your hand. So it allows you to select those apes back to your hand from the drop once they've been KO'd or removed from the board, and you just pay 2 more green to re-establish those boards because the field card only plays them from your deck. What I like about this card is that my only problem with Tax Sheet I remember having was drawing cards. Like, the deck would play cards from your deck, which is great, but I remember always having an issue with cards in my own hand, and this just helps keep those cards alive. Now, granted, this card has no protection, but it is a good turn if you don't see any other options for a turn 1 play, establish it, and from that point on, turn 2, you activate the field card, you free play the blocker. It is once per turn, but like you get those options to get the draws when you need them.
If you had read this card's effect to me and asked me, does this card have barrier or not? I would have thought 100% that this card had barrier. Like, it just seems like one of those cards that should have barrier on it because it's meant to supplement kind of the archetype itself. It's meant to stick on field, draw you a card once per turn when you play a card with blocker or play the field spell, and then it's got an energy sink activate main. I just thought that this card would have had some protection, and my gut instinct tells me because of that lack of protection, this card is not going to be impactful at all.
I was thinking the exact same thing. It's everything about it's nice. It's just bye little weenie.
My only concern, and I think the reason why I probably didn't get barrier, is that activate main. After a certain point, just paying 1, get back an ape, potentially a dual attack ape if I recall correctly. That makes your opponent lose a card on every swing. That's a 20k, is really strong because we have cards like King Piccolo for the new KP deck that has barrier that draws you a card when you play a Demon Clan card with a skill. So like every time you're getting a draw for that. And like I said, I think if this activate main might have been like negate the skill for game once you do it, maybe be a little more fair in that realm. But
I don't know. It puts it into 3 energy to reestablish an ape. So you're spending 3 energy per turn to reestablish an ape. That doesn't seem overly powerful to me. That doesn't seem something that's abusable. It doesn't seem like something that is crazy. Yes, it's good for the archetype, but it doesn't seem something unfair or advantageous.
The only benefit to me would be run the Great Saiyaman super combos, so that way you pulled the ape, and then on a potential attack or whatever, you super combo, put the ape back in your deck. That way, when your blockers die, you can recycle it that way. But outside of that, I do agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they were trying to make support to bring people back into the deck, I feel like they were 90% of the way there with this card. It's almost enough to make it worth revisiting, but like we were saying, since there's no barrier, no protection on it, it's just gonna go away immediately.
Yeah. The card's not going to stick around for any impactful period of time.
You may get that effect off once, maybe twice, if your opponent just doesn't care about your battle cards, but I don't know. Mid.
Or if you're playing against blue where they don't have like a ton of removal, the card may stick around. But if you're playing against red or green, the card is just done. If you're playing against yellow, it's probably going to get tapped down by an effect and ran over by another card. Like, I just don't see this card sticking around to have a gigantic impact on the overall flow of the game for the Tax Gina player.
Back when the Tax Gina came out, the alternative green deck was the Goku deck, and we got a card for that as well. Or this could just fit in any green deck if you wanted to. Kaioken Son Goku, the Furious. Critical auto when this card is played from your hand, or your opponent. When this card is played from your hand, your opponent discards 1 card from your hand. Activate main for 1 green energy. If you have 3 or more mono green energy, play this card from your hand. So right there, it's a 1-drop. Activate battle. Once per turn for 1 green energy. This card gets plus 10,000 power for the battle and minus 10,000 power during the next turn. But initially for 2 energy, it's a 25k crit. Now granted, it is a 5k crit on your opponent's turn, but still, I mean, they're going to negate that, or you can pay the extra energy without having to worry about doing any combos, and they're going to have to combo cards out or lose a resource.
Sometimes green has a problem with having turns where they kind of want to do a thing, but it might end up tapping them out and them having to rely on dormant to save them the next turn. So I think that it's really healthy to have cards like this that are a 1 to 2 energy investment that allow you to make actions that are going to impact the game state. So even just playing it for 1 and swinging for a 15k crit Yeah, they have stuff like Surprise Attack Frieza that's free when a card is KO'd. But I think this card is actually pretty good for green because there's just times that you want to just spend 1 energy and pass your turn, or 2 energy and pass your turn on that. So I think this card is going to be overall be pretty healthy for green.
I love this card just for the fact that it's generic. Like you can play this in any green deck. It's super cheap to play, and it's also a 5 cost too. So if you're tapping one, say you swing with it, your opponent negates it. You tap another energy, you go into Zamasu, Sacred Disbelief.
Yeah.
That's true too.
Or Deity's Wrath, the 5-drop one.
Deity's Wrath.
Deity's Wrath. So you paid 1 energy for this. It's almost like it's just the bait, and then you go into then you have an indestructible on board. I think this card is perfect in every way, and you can't tell me otherwise.
I agree.
Going into the next card, I don't think this is a tech that Nick ever used in his version, but we have Great Ape Sun Gohan, Saiyan's Bloodline. +2, activate main, add up to 1 4-star Parasitic Darkness from your deck to your hand, shuffle your deck, and place 1 card from your hand to the bottom of your deck. Or the -5, activate main until the start of your next main phase. You can activate Fruits of the Tree of Might from your hand without paying the energy cost by discarding another card from your hand instead. You play Turtles a lot. I don't think I remember you playing the 4-star Parasitic Darkness to go into the other
Bro,
Turtles.
you were lying.
Did you do it? I don't remember.
Everybody gave me shit for that. I know someone on this chat gave me shit for running that card.
I sure fucking did, and then I lost the game to it.
Okay, fair enough.
No. This card is perfect. I'm still running the Demigreen Unison as just your 1 cost unison to go into your free shit. But this card is fucking cracked. You get the 4-star ball, so you'll always have a 5k combo piece at worst, and then at best you get to free play your Fruit of the Tree of Mights. Absolutely awesome. Yeah, this card is awesome for Turles.
I am not a huge fan of this card particularly. I would just rather buy attrition, draw into the 4-star Parasitic Ball, and run a unison that's going to have a larger impact on the game. I don't see a world in which you ever resolve this card's -5 unless you're tapping 5 energy for it and then just cracking it at -5. Just because it's so low to the ground, it's only got a +2. It's just so easy to run over this unison. And while that +2 effect is pretty good, I don't see it doing enough for the deck. I would still rather have Demigra. I would still rather have another unison. Green has a ton of unisons right now that are highly playable, and I just would rather see any of those other than this.
Well, one of the things
naturally, Bancroft and I are going to pull forward.
I will retort real quick. From with the whole archetype of Turles, you are either shuffling your deck, searching the top 5, or grabbing a specific card every turn. So that +2, even though you're grabbing a ball, you're also putting one at the bottom of your deck. You are able to cycle through your fruits so easily, and this is just another consistency piece, especially also with the combo guys, the Loxy and Raisin. If you see multiple of those in hand, you can grab a ball instead, throw that under the deck, and then you have your combo pieces to shuffle out for free.
Sure.
I think as consistency, this card is great.
I'll take your word for it.
Going to the next card, we got Hero, Mafuba's Master. Permanent, when this card would be placed in the drop, place it in the bottom of the owner's deck instead. Activate main for 1 green energy, limit 1. If you look at a card's World Tournament card, choose 1 Earthling card in your opponent's battle area and play this card from your hand on top of it. If you do, you gain control of the card, which is fantastic, but it specifies an Earthling card, so it's only be really good for certain types of deck. And if you're playing this type of deck, you might probably just be siding this card and playing it when you know your opponent's playing a deck with Earthling cards. Activate main, discard 1 card from your hand, add up to 1 Hero's Mafuba from your deck to your hand, shuffle your deck, and negate this skill for game. So I think that's the key part of this. Correct me if I'm wrong, Fluff, because didn't you play that engine?
Yeah, I tinkered with it a little bit. The trick to Hero's Mafuba is you have to have a green god card on the field. So like a Piccolo, and I don't know off the top of my head if the Piccolo Fated Rival counts as a god piece or not.
I don't know, but this is a god card though, so you would have it one on the board for you.
If this card sticks around, this card doesn't have barrier, it doesn't have protection. Like it's fine, and Hero Mafuba is a fine card. I think this is just the World Martial Arts Tournament needs like rebooted leaders for the various archetypes. So red, blue, green, yellow, black. I mean, the black kind of got its own reboot, but because of the weakness of the leaders that were there, I don't see this card really doing anything. Now, maybe for someone who loves WMAT, this may be like the perfect thing for you. I think that in the future, this card could be really good because of the ability to just search out Heroes Mafuba, but we'll see.
Yeah, I tinkered with Heroes Mafuba for a little bit too as like a side tech piece. I like that card. I think it's really neat. But yeah, having to have a god on board can be kind of tricky. But like you were saying, this card is the god tag, so it works. I also like the fact that once it's removed, it goes to the bottom of the deck. I kind of hard to say if you'd actually see that card again, but it's neat. I mean, especially if you run more than one Heroes Mafuba, so you can see multiples. I think it's interesting.
And that top activate main is actually really kind of cool as a form of removal. And I like I said before, with a new WMAT leader, we could really see a card like this be resurgative and really breathe life into the World Martial Arts Tournament strategies. But I think until we see a good green World Martial Arts Tournament that supports specifically the Hero, Roshi, Piccolo archetypes, we're not really going to see much come out of this, I don't think.
Going to the next card, we got one of my favorites, maybe not anyone else's, but Great Ape Sun Gohan, Unstoppable Rampage. This is definitely meant for the Gohan Flip Leader. Unique, Double Strike, Blonker. Auto for 1 yellow energy. If your leader card is Great Ape Sun Gohan Youth card, and you have 2 or more energy, when a yellow filled card is placed in your battle area, add up to 1 card from your life to your hand, then play this card from your hand. Auto, when this card is removed from your battle area by an opponent's skill, play up to 1 yellow Sun Gohan Youth card with energy cost of 1 from your deck, then shuffle your deck afterwards. It just gives you another option, and early game, a double strike that could potentially restand itself if you have the right. I think the deck. It's been a while since I played it, but having a double strike 20k is always good, especially on turn 2 for 1 energy, and it gets you down a life because technically the deck's just flipping over constantly. You really don't need a specific life to do anything, but if you want to use super combo or something like that, it helps you kind of get to that point.
I look at the card, I see 1 yellow energy double strike blocker 20,000, and I'm here for it. I like this card a lot for the archetype that it's in, even though I'm not super knowledgeable about that archetype. I do think that, this card will slot in very well. Do I think that the archetype is going to, because of this card, become a number 1 meta contentive deck? I don't think so, but I think this card will take it into the higher tiers of casual play, though.
Maybe. I mean, the Gohan flip lead was just so damn confusing. I honestly don't know what opinion I have of this card. On paper it seems really cool, but do you want to do this and play like one of the most confusing leaders in the game, or do you just want to play Trunks Vegeta and win? Yeah. It's cool, but
Going to our next card, we got Supreme Kai of Time, Masterminds Pawn. This is really great for the Mecha board deck, if I recall correctly. Servant, auto limit 1. When this card is played, or you gain control, Mecha board, you gain control of your opponent's battle card. Your opponent sends 1 card from their hand to their warp. Activate main for 1 black energy. If your leader card is Mecha board card, and there are 2 or more Dark Dragon Ball cards in your drop, play this card from your hand. Place up to 2 Dark Dragon Ball cards from your deck to your drop to shuffle your deck afterwards. It's kind of like the new Sin coming out as well, where you're not getting the benefits of placing those cards into your drop, but it's getting you to a better place of awakening quicker, especially in this case for 1 energy. So on turn 2, potentially on turn 1, actually, sorry. Yeah, because there's not an energy cost requirement to this. So you can play this card very early on if you want to. Now, definitely you want to wait until you've awakened. That way you can, or potentially on the same time you're awakening, that way you could maximize pulling cards from your opponent's hand. But yeah, I like this card for the deck. I think it needed it.
I don't know the Mega Kibora archetype well enough to know how often that auto is going to come up on the on this card. This beyond just it itself being played. I do know that Mega Kibora likes to dump the Dragon Balls from the deck to the drop. So I could see this card being pretty useful for the archetype. I'm not an expert on the archetype, but I could see this card being useful for it.
Yeah, I've played against Jimmy a few times when he was playing this deck, and depending on the deck that you're playing, there's a high chance that a lot of your battle cards are going to be sent to the warp, and that's where Meki Gabora likes to play. So I think if just having this card sit on the board and just constantly having that effect, I think it could do a lot of damage over time for most decks. I think this card's going to do pretty well, and a lot of people will experiment with that deck again.
Going over the next card, once again, another card I'm super excited for. Master Roshi, Demonic Vassal. Servant auto, if your leader card is yellow demonic clan card, look up to 5 cards from the top of your deck and up to 1 yellow demon clan card among them to your hand, then shuffle your deck. Activate main, limit 1. If your leader card is a yellow demon clan card, Mako Star is in your battle area, and you place 1 card from your hand to the bottom of your deck. You play this card from your hand in rest mode. What makes this card so fantastic is that the 5-drop Garl Jr., and I think there's one more card, I might be wrong, I think it was one of the EX cards that came out, but they have the ability to look at the bottom of your deck. If it's a Demon Clan Servant, I think it plays it. So you're able to kind of swing of a card, Overlord, put it up, and then bring it back, or you can play Roshi from your hand, put the card you want to play at the bottom of your deck, then activate that skill to replay it, and then you Overlord the Roshi afterwards, so you get another draw off that. And then use the Leader's Overlord effect to pop that card once you get that going. Like, it's just fantastic, and I love that they added this card to it.
I look at this card, and I know enough about the Garlic archetype to just kind of know this guy's going to get played for free by his own effect or by some other card's effect. It's going to search you out a card, and then you're going to be able to pop it with Overlord, put it on the bottom of the deck to get another draw. And this just seems like a decent piece for the archetype. I don't really have anything negative to say about it. I wish it was a little bit bigger than 9,000 so it could be relevant on a swing or something like that.
It's
or maybe have
19.
blocker. What?
Servant gets plus 10k, so technically.
Oh, it does give 10 on Servant. I forgot about that.
Yeah, but it'll get played in rest mode, so you wouldn't be able to swing with it.
If you were to play it with the leader's auto at the end of your turn, if I recall correctly, you play in active mode. That way on your turn following the 19k swing.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that. So yeah, never mind. There's nothing about this card that I overtly dislike.
The card is good. We agree.
The last 2 cards that were revealed, just kind of quickly over them, just because they're not technically new cards. Lately, these promos have been doing, the tournament promos have been kind of adding 2 cards, 1 or 2 cards. And we got Ss2 Assistant, Counterplay Goku, and we got the 9-drop Hirudegarn, which are fantastic. Just kind of, Hirudegarn works well with the new card we're getting. Ss2 Ally is a good counterplay. I remember at one point it was very highly looked for. And if people start going away from Unisons again, this card will come back and cycle again, which is fantastic. And just kind of top it off, we did get the winter cards and just kind of go over them real quick. I think they all look great. We got the Ss2 Sun Gohan getting a winter art. We got the Goten getting its winter art. We got a Goku getting its winter art. And then we got a Xeno Goku. As you see, there's a theme here. It definitely is the Goku family. But they're the winter arts for this particular set. I'm okay with that.
I definitely like the Kaioken Goku art the most on this, and that'll be the one that I would like to get.
Gohan giving you the fist bump. I like that.
Yeah.
Not terrible.
So with that being said, thank you all for tuning in. That is today's video, and probably might be the last one when it comes to reveals until the next set come along. We'll find something else, probably fulfill the mornings if that's necessary. If not, wait until our afternoon video. That means to take your opportunity and keep in mind there's buttons down below. Fluff, would you lead us out?
Absolutely. Now that we've seen everything, how you guys feeling about the next set as it's coming? Let us know in the comments below. As always, read your cards, know your plays. Let us make the mistakes so that you don't have to, and Fluff out.